I'm Adam Manshell for Pro Football Weekly, along with our draft expert Nolan Nawrocki, looking at one of the topics that's most popular to talk about surrounding the draft, the Wonderlic Test. It's a 50-question, 12-minute timed aptitude test that all the prospects at the Combine take. And Nolan, most people don't get to see this, but you've gotten your hands on all of the results. Just how important, though, is it to NFL teams?
Well, it's really just a small piece of the puzzle. They're going to look at everything. They take psychological tests, athletic tests, all kinds of testing. And they're just trying to really figure out whether these guys can get in the classroom and learn. Are they visual learners? How much coaching are they going to need? So they're really trying to break down what they're going to need, how they're going to need to be brought along at the NFL level.
I think it's fun for all the fans to at least look at when you actually get the scale of seeing where they grade out. Now, by position, obviously, it's probably more important for some than others. Which positions does it really matter?
Well, quarterback and offensive line are the two that really stand out. If you look at the averages this year, quarterback was at the top of the list. 27 was the average score. Oppositely, cornerback, running back, and receiver, I think, are areas or positions where players can get away with not being quite as smart. You look at guys in the past, like Andre Johnson in Houston, scored a 14. Percy Harvin scored a 12. Akeem Nicks scored an 11. So obviously, while you need to know what routes you're running and be able to read coverages on defense, it's not truly important at those positions.
It seems like it doesn't necessarily translate as much there. The guys with their exceptional athletes, it's probably going to work for them whether they get a low Wonderlic or not. Now, one of the big areas that everyone's focusing on in this draft and every draft are quarterbacks. How did the top guys in this year's draft handle it?
Well, when you look at Cam Newton and Jake Locker, I think there are some concerns. Cam scored a 21. Jake Locker scored a 20, and they both ran simplified offenses. Both had a hard time grasping full playbooks. You look at Cam on tape, and he's constantly looking at the sideline for play calls to come in. So there are definitely some concerns about both of those players, just whether they're going to be able to grasp an NFL playbook and truly learn what they're going to need to at the NFL level.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the guys that have done really well historically over the years, does it really translate to success?
Not at all. There's been guys through the years that have scored very high. Ryan Fitzpatrick in Buffalo is one. It took him a number of years. Really, it comes down to the talent. If you look at this year's class, Alabama's Greg McElroy was the highest scorer. He scored a 43, and Nathan Enderle from Idaho also scored very well. Both of them, if you evaluate the tape, you see that they're overly analytical on the field. They're too cerebral. They're not confident triggermen. And I think it works against players sometimes, scoring too highly.
Yeah, obviously it's something that it's good to a point, I guess, but at a certain point you need to be able to have the skills as well. Now, with all the draft preparation that goes on, we know guys working hard to get their 40 times down and working all these things leading up to the Combine. I guess they're doing the same thing with this test.
Yeah, these kids come very well prepared, and it obviously shows in the results. Nebraska's Prince Amukamara, if you look last year at his junior pro day, scored a 14. Came back this past spring and scored a 35 at the Combine, so made a 21-point improvement. There's some other players. Danny Watkins from Baylor was another one, made a significant improvement. I think when it comes down to it, teams will look at that initial score and know that that's really the one that matters, and it's more indicative of their true intelligence.
Yeah, it's always trying to find a way to work the system. I guess any way you can is going to help your draft stock. We appreciate it, Nolan. For all of the best draft information, make sure to follow us on Twitter or go to ProFootballWeekly.com.